if you ever freaked out when you ran out of maraschino liqueur because it's too hard to get in your area, then started a OCD stockpiling some just to make sure this will never happen again. Or if you feel like a last word needs to be rejiggered because it's too sweet for you, or if you just like to experiment with new flavors at home. Well, if you said yes to at least one of these 4 things, this video is for you, because today we're gonna make a substitute to maraschino liqueur and we're gonna test it side by side with the real one in a last word. What's up my friends, welcome back to the channel. You know, I get a lot of comments from you guys about how hard some liqueurs are to get, so that gave me an idea. I will start a series of videos about DIY liqueurs based on the one I believe are the hardest to find. Hopefully this will be helpful for a lot of you, but if you are part of the lucky ones that don't get any problem finding anything at your liquor store, I still believe this is an interesting series for you, because homemade ingredients are great and also they allow you more control, especially on the sugar content, and in some cocktails like the last word, this can be a game changer. First, let's understand what maraschino liqueur is. It's a liqueur made out of Maraschino cherries, which is a variety of sour and bitter cherries. It's made out of the distillation of the whole fruit, the flesh, the pit, and the stem. The result is a cherry-flavored liqueur with an amazing dry finish, a hint of bitterness, almost a little bit spicy, and also an almond-like flavor due to the fact that they include the pit in the process. So if you want to mimic that at home and don't have an alambic, here's what you can do. Kirsch, that will be your answer here. It is also made out of the distillation of cherry juice macerated with the pit, so we can almost say that Kirsch is an unsweetened maraschino liqueur. The major difference between these two products, obviously aside from the sugar content, is the variety of cherries. Maraschino liqueur uses Marasca cherries, while Kirsch uses Morello cherries, but both are varieties of sour and bitter cherries, so the result is pretty damn close. For some reasons though, the Kirsch doesn't have the same almond flavor, the hint of bitterness and spiciness than the liqueur has, but this is something that we can easily fix by adding the proper ingredients. So to make the DIY full maraschino liqueur, here's what you're gonna need. Kirsch, sugar, and almond essence. At this point, with just these 3 ingredients, you can already make a great substitute to maraschino liqueur. You will lack a little bit of complexity though, but if you want to go down the simple road, stick to these 3 ingredients. But if you want to be as close as possible to the real liqueur, you're also gonna need Bitter Sling Suius cherry bitters and bay leaves. The choice of bitters here is extremely important for this recipe. I chose Bitter Sling Suius Cherry because their lineup is specifically built to lift up some flavors rather than adding some. So by using this one, we're gonna lift the cherry flavors, we're gonna dry the liquor, we're gonna add a hint of spiciness and bitterness that I feel we get in the original maraschino liqueur. So if you don't want to use this one, just don't use any cherry bitters at all. This will not yield the same thing at all. The fresh bay leaf is there to enhance the spiciness and almost herbaceousness that I get in the original maraschino liqueur. That is probably due to the fact that they use the stem of the cherry in the recipe. Now that we have all our ingredients, we can start making the liqueur, and we're gonna start by making a bitter almond tincture. This will allow us to have better control in the flavor and make sure it doesn't overpower the liqueur. Before we go any further guys, about the almond essence, some are made out of oil and I recommend you stay away from those. I'm not saying you cannot make it happen with them, but it's more complicated. You have to change the ratios, you have to change the process. By that I mean you have to fat wash the liqueur, so for the best result today, stick to what I chose, one that is water soluble. So now let's make the tincture. You will see this is extremely simple. First, all you have to do is to weigh 45 grams of Kirsch, and to that add 6 drops of almond essence. Then you're simply gonna stir a little bit to make sure everything is incorporated together, and this is how we make the tincture. Now for the liqueur, you're gonna mix together 250 grams of Kirsch, 2.5 grams of our tincture, 70 grams of sugar, and 2.5 grams of bitters. You're gonna stir until all the sugar is dissolved. Then you're gonna add 1 regular size bay leaf. Then you're gonna close your container and let that infuse at room temperature for 24 hours. After, you can bottle it up without the leaf, and there you go. This is how I make my maraschino liqueur substitute. So now let's give it a quick taste side by side with the real one and see how they compare. Cheers. works. That's good. I can easily spot which one is which. I'm not gonna lie, it's not exactly the same, but as I said, this is meant as a substitute for maraschino for those of you who can't find it, or for those of you who want to play with the sugar ratios. And here, it really passes the test. I'm even sure I could pass that to a lot of people in a blind tasting as another brand of maraschino, because it is not the same, but it has everything that it needs to be considered like a cherry liqueur similar to a maraschino. Then, talking about the sugar content, I didn't say when I made the recipe in the video, but I made this drier than the Luxardo on purpose, because I oftentimes feel that when we use maraschino in a liqueur, in order to get the flavor of it, we tend to over sweeten the cocktails, especially in a last word. I mean, a lot of people believe that a last word is unbalanced and too sweet, so to compensate, they just up the gin and the lime content and lower the chartreuse and the maraschino. But in my opinion, we just lose too much of the cherry flavors and the herbaceousness. So by lowering the sugar content in our DIY maraschino liqueur, we will be able to keep the ratios like 3/4 of an ounce of each and have a perfect balance in terms of sweetness. So if you guys are ready, let's give it a try in the last word with this one and this one. Let's go. So we're gonna do the exact same thing for both cocktails, except for one, we're gonna use our DIY version of the maraschino liqueur, and in the other one, we're gonna use the real deal. So in a cocktail shaker, we're gonna pour 3/4 of an ounce of gin, 3/4 of an ounce of maraschino liqueur, 3/4 of an ounce of green chartreuse, and 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. We're gonna fill the shaker with ice and give it a good shake for about 10 seconds. We're gonna fine strain it into a cocktail coupe, and there we go. As simple as that, this is how we make a last word. Now, let's give them a try. This is the one with the regular maraschino. This is the one with our version, and both are really good. I must say, I was never the one that really complained about the fact that last words were too sweet, but I understand why a lot of people believe it is. I even myself sometimes feel to rejigger the thing to make it more acidic, but when I do, I often feel that the liqueurs are a little bit lost, that we lose too much from the flavors of them. So by using our ratios of sugar and our maraschino in a last word, then we get like perfect balance in terms of flavors and a little more acidity, which will please a lot of you if it's your case. On the other hand, if you love the last word the way it was created, then what you can do is do our recipe, but just up a little bit the sugar content to reach more what the real maraschino is. And that way you will be very happy, I guarantee, because I truly believe that this recipe is a great substitute for maraschino liqueur. Even though it's a little bit different, it works really well. I've tried it already in Hemingway daiquiris and in Brooklyn's. The last word is another trials, and it works nicely. I really love them all three. So guys, that's it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Hit the like and the bell if you want to be notified when we post a new cocktail video. Until then, thank you very much again. Have a great day and see you very soon for another DIY liqueur tutorial that I believe will probably be something like coming from Mark's. I don't say no more. Bye-bye.